Put your mask on. Put your fucking mask on, bitch. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Put your freaking mask on. Aiden? Yeah, Aiden will be back. He's got too much pride. Put your freaking diaper on. Emasculation. Mask deception. Stupid masks. Hello. Aiden, Adeline, we're all waiting for you, Adeline. Oh, AD. Dad, water's here, Dad. 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 How you guys doing? I did a stream last night, live, trying to learn that shit. Should be pretty easy soon. But, oh man, I have like no gas. I have to turn off my AC and talk in the heat. This is gonna be fun. Okay. So there's that. Wow, it's hot in here. Oh God. Okay. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Hey, you guys want to see a picture of me 8 years ago without a beard? Look at that little kid. Would you look at that little kid? Oh, you guys got to look at this. I don't know if you can find the link. Look up clinicaltrials.gov and look up COVID-19 messaging. This is a study on messaging, literally a scientific study on how best to use manipulation, shame. I mean, look at these. Personal freedom message, economic freedom message, self-interest message, community interest message, economic benefit, guilt message, embarrassment message, anger message, trust in science message, not bravery message. So there's this study that was conducted on teaching people how to best manipulate their friends and family and loved ones using all these tactics to get them on board with vaccination. I mean, if you need to do that, jeez, if you need to do that, unbelievable. Pretty amazing. So that was disturbing to see this this study here that's panning in the background. You know, sham, control, message. They call it bird feeding. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? They call it bird feeding. I mean, they're just literally... I have to get out of my car. So if this stream stalls, it's because I have to get out of my car because I feel like a burrito. So yeah, all of these studies, social benefit, self-interest, they're basically, this is Yale. So they're, you know, they do these studies and then they get to use these studies and then go to their media sources and go to their little nonprofit groups and go to all of their friends in powerful positions and literally bird feed them these this data and give them all of these access and talking points, which is not very surprising. You know, none of you should be surprised by this. It's just interesting to see directly in a scientific paper, so to speak. So, I mean, this is, who knows, maybe Aiden was one of the participants in this test, and he was like, you don't know, Jim Bob, I was in the shame control control group. I know. And so it's pretty disturbing shit. What else? Oh yeah, I talked about, I got a dude who's a really good artist. He draws on shoes, and he offered to send me some custom shoes, which I probably won't wear, but he's drawing the Savage Memes cover, volume 1 on one shoe, and he's drawing the volume 2 on another shoe. So I thought that's really cool. When they're done, I'll take a nice photo of them and plug the artist, so he gets some time. He does otherwise pretty way detailed, darker kind of stuff, you know. Look at this video.
What do you mean we're lucky to be white?
It's not luck, it's privilege.
We're privileged that people see us, not a color.
Privilege that we don't get stared at when we walk into the room.
Privilege that we don't get followed by security when we go shopping. Or
Well,
pulled
stop
over when we're in
stealing
the
shit
wrong
then.
neighborhood.
We're privileged because society was set up for us, and our silence keeps it in place.
We're privileged, and that's unfair.
Shopping. Or pulled over when we're in the wrong neighborhood.
We're privileged.
Well, why don't you take your privilege and maybe do a live suicide? You know what I mean? You might as well go there. You just wrote on your face. You literally wrote marker on your face. Okay? So, that's embarrassing. You're actually not privileged. If you're cucked into that level of self-humiliation, you don't have any privilege. You've just sold your dignity away. It's gone. You're vacant. You're nobody. Those people, I hope they at least got paid a lot. Nothing would be worth doing that for me, but for some people like that, it's worth it, you know? It's terrible. Anyway, so on the D Live, I what did I do? Oh yeah, I went over what I call the mechanics of a lie. And I was thinking about, how do these mass deceptions happen, you know? How do these things happen? How do we get to the point where you're believing nonsense at a massive scale? And so I started drawing and kind of structuring this. And so what you see here is a little chart. And the mechanics of a lie obviously starts with a source. Most cases, it's education, government, science, medical, military. And what sprouts out of that is a support mechanism and an opposition. And both, in a way, are support mechanisms. So similar to how air pushes up an airplane, resistance to a lie or a narrative actually keeps it upheld in place. You know, I referenced that Jamaican black doctor who's coming out and talking about hydrochloroquine or whatever the fuck it's called, and how that's actually a form of manufactured consent, because everybody's going like, this is nonsense, this is nonsense. They suddenly appeal to this doctor who's at least more on their side, and then just appeals to the doctor. Meanwhile, you're like, no, that's just keeping up another lie. It's just keeping up the same lie. Anyway, so the support and opposition look similar. They both do products, services, and media. Those are the elements that, once in reality, show up in the physical and support a lie or a narrative. And once you get to the product level, where people are wearing their favorite Superman hero, whatever, on their mask, they're wearing, logoed masks, they're wearing, it basically creates it gets to the level where the manufactured consent for a narrative or a lie hits the behavioral pop culture realm. And once it hits that place, once you have manufactured consent at that level, wearing the NASA tee, wearing the Bill Nye Science Guy tee, buying the books, getting the Lego set, once it's infused into the culture, and it's another term would be normalized, but it's really not really normal. It's it's overcompensation. It's investment in culture. And once it hits the culture, I don't know if you see on the screen, but that arrow, culture goes back to the support section. So inevitably, the end goal of a lie is to get it culturally acceptable through practice, products, media, and services. And it's hard for people once they hit that realm. For instance, there's a lot of people at my work who are totally like, this is nonsense, dude. And based on not knowing anyone who had it or died, overinflated numbers, overinflated cases, a bunch of bullshit. Nothing has changed in their view. If you still mention those things to them, they say, yeah, I guess, it's true. But I'm like wondering what has changed. And really, it's the culture. You hit a critical mass where it's so apparent and ubiquitous in culture. Everywhere you go, you're wearing a mask. Everywhere, someone's wearing a mask. And that's the point at which it's more painful for them to keep fighting it than it is to just go along with it. It's more painful to look at what would it mean if this was all nonsense? What would it mean about life and people? What would it mean about good and evil? And a lot of that confrontation is avoided by simply adhering to just the trend and being like, okay, it's reality now. And because education, government, and media, science, and medicine are all a part of the same hydra at this point, it's very easy to create an accepted narrative, a lie, and keep it in existence. And it fascinates me. Once you see it structurally, it's not like it only partially aggravates me, but for the most part, understanding it is a really calming place to stand. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're not like, what the fuck? You're not all confused, It's all just culture. It's no different. Accepting the mask at this level is no different than accepting the Beatles are the greatest band on earth. It's culture. It just hits a culture. There's this threshold. I don't know where it is. I don't know what the numbers are, but there's a threshold at which something's accepted, and it's a tipping point. And after that tipping point, you just accept, oh yeah, totally, no, you're supposed to do masturbating thong ass dances at the halftime show, Oh, it's totally normal. It's like, that's just what you do now. This is it's a different time, Jim Bob, Don't be such a square. And that's really how the hippie revolution, free love, the whole liberty, free love, that whole project was all given by cultural, ideological subversion. And it totally makes sense. It doesn't even have to get to this level of like conspiracy theory, because the format is so easy. It's literally input. It's like a computer. It's like, and no wonder these like technocrat psychopaths look at us like we're just nodes in a computer, because when they run anything through this program, it works. So they're just looking at us like stateless components. They're just like, look at these components waiting for their direction, waiting for their program to run. And I don't blame them, because for the most part it works, especially if you use fear. Especially if you see the relationship between fear and compliance, and economics. People will abide by compliance if you threaten their economics, their job, their social standing, their status, their car, their kids. It all reduces people to economic agents, which is where the moral trick happens. Because if you buy that, you abandon your morality. You have to abandon the immaterial and all the virtues to accept the premise that holding on to your status, your car, your job is more important than your dignity. And that's what I talked about on another stream, is that it's just like going into a restaurant, or the example I used was a comedy shop, store, or whatever. You go in, when you pay the ticket, you accept the terms and the context for going into that building. You're not going into a bowling alley. You're not going into a free-form karaoke. You're going into a show where you sit, and you drink your beer, and you laugh, and you don't heckle, and you agree with the interaction, and your place in that interaction is a viewer. And that's why heckling is a no-no. It's not just because it interrupts other people's service that they paid for. It's because it goes outside of the agreement. And that's where compliance and economics meet. It's everywhere. Your shirt, you have to wear a shirt to come in here. To some extent, when the masker argues, dude, you comply every time you walk into a building without a shirt, and that's true. I mean, that's just true. It's about where the threshold is. It's about where you draw the line for your dignity. Some people, I've met a bunch of nudists in my life who draw the line of their human dignity at being able to be totally naked at a business, even if their dick is a little bit red and itchy looking. And I'm like, no, dude, you can't just walk around my house like that. Look at your irritated little dick. It's like, I don't want your irritated little dick near my strawberries. It's not this, if that's where your dignity comes from, then if you want to be naked all the time, then maybe you shouldn't have gotten a red, irritated little dick. So it's like, don't put it next to my strawberries, dude. Anyway, that's what I went over on D-Live, and some other stuff. But once you see that, that pattern, you can't really unsee it, because then you understand how a massive lie could happen. It makes total sense. It makes total sense how you can get to that place. So, and it's this, and then this.
What do you mean we're lucky to be white?
It's not luck, it's privilege.
We're privileged that people see us, not a color.
Privilege that we don't get stared at when we walk into the room.
Privilege that we don't get followed by security when we go shopping. Or pulled over when we're in the wrong neighborhood.
Oh, pulled over when you're in the wrong neighborhood? How about you white pasty cucks go to the worst parts of Chicago at 1 a.m. See if you get pulled over in the wrong neighborhood in another way. You will. You'll get eaten alive. There's actually a privilege. Let's say there's a privilege being black when you go into a ghetto neighborhood and you understand that culture. You understand where not to go. You understand color symbols. You understand what some gang signs are. You understand the different corners and how they operate, what hours. You go in as one of those people, you don't have any privilege. Your privilege is gone. So I'd like to see people take this retarded theme and take it into a place where it no longer applies. And you tell me how privileged you are. You'll be dead. You will be dead. Brown privilege. Now there's cultural privilege, and it just so happens that most people who accept and abide and assimilate to Western European culture are also white people. But Asians assimilate too. Yes, they still cook all of their normal ethnic foods, behind closed doors and whatnot, and still speak their language behind closed doors. But they assimilate to Western culture. That's why Ping Chang Hua Noodle changes her name to Cynthia. If you want privilege, you have to use the same logical systems, the same vernacular, the same language. You have to assimilate if you want to reap the rewards of any given system. It's the same for any program or any system you look at. It has its variables, it has its inputs, it has its codes. It has a physical code, it has a software code, it has a content code, and it's designed within a certain code. So when you go in to a code, a program, and you go into an office building, and your hair's all froed out, and your pants are down to your ankles, and you have 5 chains on and gold teeth, and you say, "Yo, I'm looking for a job, nigga. Give me a job. My name is Deshaunqua, and I'm not changing my name to James. My name's Deshaunquanita Whacked." It's like, what do you fucking expect, dude? What do you expect? Will Bill Clinton go down? No. It's all entertainment. It's how these things work. They just like, once you have someone trapped, you don't put them away. You use them as leverage. You see what else is there, and then that's when the deals start getting made. And then it turns out that the thing they gave you isn't actually true or legitimate, and then it all fucks up. Because why? That's what happens when men try to pursue justice. You can't get justice. You can't assume or implement the moral law. You could know the moral law, but you can't be the judge. It always falls apart. Why? Because men are fallen, and there's always something to trade. There's always some power scheme that relieves what you perceive to be a justice as an outcome. It just never ends up happening. Some would say justice would be Epstein dying. I don't think he's dead. I think he's probably, he has a little summer camp in Costa Rica for little kids probably. But you could argue that being, if he was dead, that would be justice. But, we can't administer justice as humans, because that's it's just an agreement absent some higher transcendental basis. Justice, otherwise, anything that's decided on as the penalty should be just. But we know that's not the case either. We know sometimes that's not the case. So no, Bill Clinton's not going down. No. At least Chrissy Teigen, she's a weird face. That girl scares me. Like, I'm like, who is this? Who's this person? Oh, it's like John Legend, somebody, like some chick. I don't know who it is. Who is it? And then I like looked her up and I was like, wait, is that her? No, that's just Kamala Harris. Similar demon source. They buy demons at the same store, same mall. Let's see if I have a picture of this girl. She's scary as fuck. She a real skirt. Let me see. Is this her? Oh my gosh! It's like Charlie Kirk. Oh Lord. Oh my gosh. Something really not going on well in there. Look at that smirk.
She's like, what did I do, guys? I thought I married a famous person. I'll be fine, you guys. I married John Legend. He has the dimples. He has the dimplest dimples I've ever seen. So, does that mean I get to say anything about babies? Not, get repercussions? Does that mean I get to say a baby looks like a naughty do-anything porn star and just, like, pretend that it's totally normal and fine? He's the dimplest dimples.
What do I think of QAnon? I think it's, again, either Steve Bannon or it's one of the first major culturally influential, politically influential AI aggregates. So they just tie a AI generator to internal documents and it's hooked up, and then they just cryptically feed people what seemingly seems like future telling, future based cryptic coding, narrating. It's a narration machine. I think in the future, near future, it will come out. There is an augmented intelligence element to Q. And if I was against, I'm not like against Q, I just don't care. Because it's just like faith in man, faith in some system, faith in some justice that you're going to get. It's all just inversion to me. But if I was opposed to it, I know exactly how to totally dismantle that whole entire movement. It's just queers for Q. You know, and it's just a black screen with a rainbow Q, and you just pay a bunch of people, you know, the regular paid for stand-in protester people, you know, crowdsondemand.com, that kind of crisis cast, you know, you find one of those locally maybe, and you just get them on the news, and you just overtake Q with queers for Q. To the point where that's the only thing in the news about Q is just queers for Q. And it's just like degenerate, just like, you know, super G-string rainbow shorts and just men being disgusting out in the streets. So just take a gay pride parade and just make it about Q and call it queers for Q. It's over. Q's over. It's a freebie for you guys if you want to take that. Opening Photoshop now, exactly. Which states have I been to? I mean, I grew up in New York State. Been to Chicago, Cleveland, South Dakota, North Dakota. I live in Colorado, California, Seattle, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Maine, Rhode Island, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, one of them. I think that's about it. What's the best? I don't know what's the... I mean, where I am is the best, because that's why I'm here. But I think I can make any place the best. I remember when Q was a letter. Chicago sucks. Yeah, it's run by psychopaths. That little, that little beaver munching, gross Beetlejuice looking motherfucker. She's so horny about the New World Order. She said it in like 5 interviews. It's like the UN has its plants, its appointees, its managerial class embedded in police, in local, state, and government, federal level representatives, Congress. The UN agenda, that whole thing, I mean, they try it so many times. They tried it with the League of Nations. They try this shit so many, it's pathetic. Because they get too excited, you know? That lady's like, we have to do the New World Order, yeah. And then I'll get my golden strap on and pretend I'm a dude. Beetlejuice. Scary woman. Oh, New Jersey too. Yeah, I've been. Don't give up on California. It's big. It's too big. It's also just prime land. It's beautiful land. So the thing is, Babylon, Gomorrah, Sodom and Gomorrah, these things fall. But the thing is, it always goes, you know, what is the biblical, the meek shall inherit the earth, you know, at a state level. California and its policies it's going to go that way until you're at ground zero level, until two structure fires bring down the towers, and then you have to start. And then the thing is, when that happens, the people, the silent majority, the based, the cringe based, the righties, the homesteaders, the Christians, they have to be there as the net. Someone needs to be there when it gets crushed, and it can't be Dick Cheney. It can't be Halliburton. And they know this. That's the reasoning behind demolishing entire countries and causing all of this upheaval and destruction, is that they know it's easier to build from flat ground than to build on top of existing things. So you demolish it, and there you go. You got it. You know what I mean? You got what you need if you demolish. And so that's how that shit works. So California, it's going to keep going its way if it has people like Newsom involved, and if that kind of ideology keeps going in San Francisco, all of the shit has to just fall apart. All of the social cohesion, cultural cohesion, it becomes this gray, sludgy matter of diversity, atomization, and full-on consumerism. But the bad news is that the smart city, technate monstrosity, the Hydra or the octopus of the UN, they are ready. They want the smart cities. They want the Internet of Everything and turn everybody into automated consumers. Automating consumerism, arcade style. And they're just so ready for it. So they're waiting there, waiting for the destruction. That's why all the Democrat cities, they're letting their, they want to defund the police. Benjamin makes a good point that it's probably just because, at least one element is that the money's gone. That's why the teachers and the police, they're just like, defund, make it all so awful that it justifies them no longer having their pensions. That makes total sense to me. And then the other side, in the near future, is that you can't really hold on to this sovereignty of individuals at the city level if it's taken over by a sort of like a UN merger with big corporations. You can't. If they want their smart cities, you have to give up your level of sovereignty, and you have to play by the rules of the arcade. And that's what they want. They want that. They want that sort of automated utilitarian machine city. Where everything's based on efficiency models and sustainability and all this. And they're just waiting. They let these cities burn, so that the new money, the new investment money comes in and goes, oh, don't worry about it. The NBA is gonna donate a bunch of money toward these new smart cities. Don't worry about it. Oh, you know what? Siemens and Toyota. Toyota already wants to make a Toyota city. Literally, Toyota City. So these companies, if you're wondering why they're all going towards social justice nonsense, which there's no way goes against their bottom line. Obviously, they're no longer... they've transcended money and bottom line as their motivator. So if that's the case, we know the only likely scenario is that they're in on the smart grid, smart city, Internet of Everything bullshit, where they want their footing in there because they know it's no longer going to be customer relations. It's no longer a free market of someone deciding what goods they want. It's, you want to live here? Here's the package. It's like when you it's like when you rent a nice apartment and they give you all the amenities. So just that's a microcosm. So just take the apartment scenario, oh, you get the gym. Oh, that's great. Oh, you get the free thing, 20% off at the coffee shop down the block. That's great. Oh, look, we have a rooftop pool, and you have one free martini every week. That comes with the rent. So the more these companies, the bigger they get, the more they grasp hold of the supply chain of everything, the more they can offer you a life, literally a life, a membership life, like a lifetime membership. The term lifetime membership is going to change in these places. It's literally going to be like you have a membership to your life. Like you're paying a membership for all of the things that are all given by one central monster, with a bunch of arms. They have the restaurants, they have this, they have that, they have the banking, they have the medicine. That's how these technocrats think, and that's their goal. And so that's why I call it like arcade style, but in a way, it's probably more appropriate to call it a lifetime membership to your own life, where it comes with the contract. Oh, you want the membership to all this shit? You get everything, by the way. Oh, how could you say no to everything? That's amazing. Yeah, well, the only thing is if you get pregnant, we get to, there's a symposium that votes on, whether, you're going to have the kid or not. So can you mind doing that? You mind signing that away? And they're like, but do I get free HBO and Disney Plus? And they're like, of course, dude. Mickey Mouse would love you. So that's the future. It's not black pill. Why? Because you guys don't want that. We don't want that. So you can reject it. They don't force you into these places. You know what I mean? They cater to the materialist. They cater to the efficiency addicts. They cater to the AI, the all those dudes who are the intellectual dark web people, the nerds, Silicon Valley, and so if you're not a materialist, you don't have to look at this as this looming threat unless you want to live in that kind of existence. And it's like, do you? I mean, I don't. Do I have to confront some of the things that might be very inconvenient to let go of? Yeah. Will life get a little bit more difficult? Yeah, probably. A little more work to do things. But it's definitely not worth giving up your personal spiritual sovereignty, your agency, your ability to make choices for your family and yourself. It's not worth it giving that up to get a lifetime membership to all the goodies, the sponsored life. You know what I mean? Lives will be sponsored. I'm telling you. It's probably in our lifetime, but probably not on a massive scale. Again, these smart, retarded plans, they're not smart at all. They have to happen at a regional level first. So you'll see them. You'll see them trying to pop up places, probably like Toronto. I don't think New York City can do it. I think they have too many people hiding in the cracks with red hats, and they're just like, nope. But, San Francisco probably. A lot of Asian countries or cities. Bill Gates trying to do it, and he tried to do it in Arizona. Didn't work. But everything's a subscription. Yeah. So that's the next logical end to subscription or membership lifestyle is your life itself. That's what they're going to do. They want to bundle everything into one thing, where it's all provided by the same basket, and that's you become an automaton. But what's interesting is they'll make it customizable, and I was thinking about this dichotomy: is that when the individual, the atomized individual, when technology provides them with the experience that they are their own God. I have a meme that I'm trying to work out where it's like this one guy's, he's like, technology finally made it so I'm my own God, right? And that's like at the atom level. But then you zoom out and everybody has that experience. So therefore, none of them are actually God. They're just linked into a system that gives them the illusion via appetite, delivery mechanisms, convenience, goodies, super immersive technology based on pleasure. And the irony is that when we get to a point where everyone has the experience of being their own God, literally creating what they want in their mind in a fake reality, they're all going to be slaves. That's the irony of pushing and trying to become your own God, is that you inevitably become a slave to whoever can provide those amenities to you. Whoever can provide it, they're your God. You're not your God. You're just stuck in a loop. You're just with a headset on. You just have your mask and your goggles on. It's all being provided to you. You know, like at a microcosm level, let's take like entertainment, Netflix, all this shit. You have your remote control. You're the God. You have a remote control. Oh, you get to watch anything you want. Oh, even type in words, customizations. Oh, they'll even suggest things for you for your own benefit, for your own personal needs, for your own taste. So good. I'm my own God. Look at my wand. Look at my remote control. It's a remote control for life. You know, they made a movie about that. But that's at the daily level, just in entertainment. When that gets to the level where it's everything, I mean every single interaction is a customized, delivered version just for you. You know, they read your emails, saw your last transactions, they saw your last fight. They're even going to give you a drug for your last fight that you had that your phone recorded. It's all for you, though. Don't worry about it. It's all for you. And at that point, you start trusting the system that's delivering you stuff because, don't you know, Jim Bob? It's designed to help you. So you start basically appealing to the system that says it's trying to help you and assuming that it knows better than you because it has data. But there's something very wrong about this because those systems don't have context. They don't have spirit. They don't have mind. They don't have morality. Morality is given by context. It's not a black and white ones and zeros. And all of the immaterial virtues, this is why utilitarianism fails and will always fail, is because you can't engineer the immaterial. You can't do it. You know what I mean? They can't tell you what you ought to do. They can only provide what soothes you. They can only provide what accomplishes some small material goal that you want. And that's all they can do. Pacifiers. They can pacify you. So as this technology gets apparently better and everything becomes more efficient and people live longer and they make all these claims about how it's so good, all they're doing is making you addicted to a pacifier for your entire life. You know, any little the level of growth and pain and suffering avoided, like the amount of pain and suffering avoided through new tech, medicine, all this shit, it is equivalent to the lack of growth that we'll experience. And that's a real thing. You know, look up anti-fragility, you know, like, and that's why we have such cucked men. It's not just because of culture. It's because technology has removed the splinters in our life. It's removed the calluses. It's protected us from doing the things that we don't even know would be difficult because we never even had to do them. I mean, I did. I'm 39. I had to, you know, chop wood, collect wood from outside in the winter, bring it inside, mow the lawn, do all the you know, those things. So, but the whole tech thing is really a mind bender. Once you look at toward what end these things go, you start to see why the immaterial is the last defense. It's not just the gun. The gun is the last line of defense in the physical. Like, you're going to either hurt someone or kill someone to protect what you want, blah, blah, blah. But what are you protecting? It's not just your property. It's your sense of dignity. It's immaterial. In a way, a gun can't even protect your dignity, because it's immaterial. And that's why morality, dignity, love, compassion, that's why religion is going to be the last line, the last thing that these technocrat homos want to destroy, because they know they cannot provide that for you. They can't. They know they can't. That's why Slick Willie and all his technocrat friends, a bunch of people at MIT, I think, they're looking at, gene editing. How do you get into someone's genes and edit out the part of you that seeks for deeper meaning? How do they remove the element of your genes and your genetic code that gives you the impulse to seek God? They won't. I don't think they'll be able to do it without causing lobotomies. It's going to go hella wrong. But that's where they're standing right now, and you got to know that. Bill Gates has a deal with DARPA. I think he's gene editing, where he's saying he wants to remove the impulse for a mosquito to bite people, and thus reducing malaria. So, first of all, the assumption that that's where that technology stops is retarded. You're dumb if you think that. But secondly, you don't know the larger scale necessity of bugs and insects. You don't know the larger scale necessity of mosquitoes or even malaria. He's talking about, it's the weirdest thing, Bill Gates. He's talking about population control, right? And the importance of reducing or maintaining a lower population. Meanwhile, why is he saving a bunch of Africans from dying of malaria? From a utilitarian standpoint, it's totally fine. You know what I mean? Slick Willie? Well, you know why? Because then he wouldn't be doing it. He wants to be God. He doesn't want to make the decision to allow nature to do its thing, allow God to do his thing. He wants to be the engineer and the smart guy on the magazine. He wants to be the alpha. And he can't be an alpha because he has a tiny little red itchy dick. And he lost the date to Brett, who now works for Ben Shapiro. He lost the date. He lost Brenda with the feather hair. And he's like, he was like 15. He was like, that's it. Now I'm going to get Brett back. I'm going to spend my life getting back at Brett, and I'm going to make 1.5 million little hard needle dicks filled with serum, never-ending syrup, never-ending vaccine spooge. I'm not just going to get in every woman, but every man, child, and donkey. And Bill Gates is just so stuck in his beta, gamma, whatever you categorize it. But that guy wants to be an alpha and he can't. I think his dad was probably an alpha. But the dude just, in the end, he just gets a digital wedgie. He gets a digital wedgie and he gets a spiritual wedgie. Bill Gates is living out a spiritual wedgie as we speak. So you don't, the justice, you just got to trust that it's built in. It's built in. You don't have to seek it. You don't have to seek justice. You don't have to follow Q. You don't need Tom Hanks in jail to live the life you want, to live a moral life, to live a fruitful life, to have children, to grow things, to build a community in your direct area, to avoid technocratic global homo nonsense. You don't need to get justice. You don't need to defeat somebody to do these things. That's the real inspirational part about everything that's happening, is that it's funneling all of the materialists into one area, and the people who are not materialists or who are in the middle are able to see the clear delineation, and they're able to make a choice now. And I think that's beautiful. It's awesome. It's like I went through the process, you know. I was an atheist materialist 2 years ago, just 2 years ago. So just think about that. I saw the filtering. I saw, oh, wow, it's like a colander. It's like a sifter at the bottom of a diamond mine. And you're just like, there's the toward the good, which is all immaterial, cannot be based in man, can't be based in graphs and charts. The good is not an outcome. The good is something you pursue ongoingly, and you can't actually win that game. You can't win the moral game, because it's not based on here on earth. It's not worldly. And the moment you think the good is following some graph, some technology, oh, we'll finally get to a place where everyone has food. Yeah, I know a good way to make sure everyone has food based in that approach. Kill half the world. Everyone will have food. Done. You couldn't argue why that's wrong from a materialist utility standpoint. You can't. That's why it's a fraud. It's not true. Utilitarian is wrong because it's not true. On the fence, atheists or agnostics. Yeah, even atheists, I mean, everybody's faith driven. They just put their God becomes something else. And atheists don't want to hear that. They're like, no, I base everything in science. And I'm like, show me the 7. Show me the laws of logic. Show me all the things you have faith in, that you need to have faith in, that you can't see or represent materially, that you require to do science. You can't. You have faith in them. You have faith in all of it. You just don't want to put it into a being. You don't want to put it into a omniscient mind. You don't want to admit that it's created, that the regularity in nature and in the universe itself has a mind behind it. You don't want to think that. So it's all faith-based. Most atheists are angry at God. Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I think they're angry that whether they know it or not, if you ask them on what basis is anything immoral, I think they're mad that they have to eventually confront that they can't say anything is immoral logically. They can't say murder or rape, pedophilia, genocide, any of the world's worst atrocities committed by man. From that view, it's got to be really frustrating to live a life knowing inside of you that you believe that there is good and right and wrong. You can't possibly live otherwise. But at the same time, it's got to be frustrating to not be able to base that logically. To not be able to say to someone, your daughter, your son, on what basis is anything wrong? Daddy, on what basis is anything wrong?
Well, nothing's really wrong. We're just material beings. There's just electrons and protons. It's a material-based things. It's just the universe is just an expansive void of pitiless nothing, meaninglessness. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong.
Like, but Daddy Dildo Dawkins. Daddy Dildo Dawkins. But why, why can't I just, rape a baby?
Well, that seems like a bit of an extreme. Why would you rape a baby? I only eat the babies. Yummies. And they're so yummy. Yum. They can't wait to be on Joe Rogan again and talk about the little ones.
He can't justify why anything's wrong or evil. It's got to be frustrating. It's got to be very disempowering. And especially if you think you're a smarty pants, like Dildo Dawkins or any of these guys. The reason they're so snarky, the reason they're so arrogant, the reason, Neil Tyson deGrasse and all those retarded guys are so snarky and arrogant is that they have to compensate for the fact that they logically can't ground that we ought to do anything, including seek knowledge or pursue science or make people live longer or reduce suffering. Any of these things. They can't justify why we ought to do that. They can't do it. They know that they're making moral arguments, but they're such cowards that they can't admit they have no logical basis to do so. Some of the most morally righteous people are people who don't believe in morality. It's amazing. I cannot imagine walking by you right now. I know, it's weird. I usually am in my car, but I'm running out of gas, so I can't use the AC. Again, it's perfect for this particular episode because it's all about utility and convenience.
It's like, I don't want to go outside. People will hear me talking about the technocrat weenie little dicks. And then they'll be like, oh, who's that guy? Why doesn't he have a mask on?
But it's worth it because I need to walk. Is COVID, BLM, climate change part of the same monster? I'm not sure. I think they're part of the same path, like the same goal, whether they know it or not. BLM is just a proxy outfit. It's like a warrior. It's like when people hire private kill squads. You know, their job is to just make a mess and make noise and stuff and, justify the destruction of the existing, starting at the city level. They're just like hired guns. Climate change is specific, though, to push. Yeah, COVID and climate change are. COVID is what was necessary to do the job that climate change couldn't do, which is unite the world under one boogeyman to justify the implementation of standardized systems. You don't need to use the word one world government. Like, once you say that, even though it's totally accurate, it sends people into a morass of but when you say standardized systems, that's really in reality what it is. You don't need to call it anything other than what it is. And that's where they're heading. You could even take it a step further, as we did in this live, and call it a membership life. You pay a membership for your life. And you agree to the terms and conditions, JimBob. You signed. You want this life here on Earth? We call it heaven on Earth package. Did you want the heaven on Earth package deal? Well, unfortunately, that requires 10 vaccines and COVID pass. That's where it's going, folks. Anyway, my lunch is up. Love you guys. I hope this saves. If not, I'm glad you were here.